There are two kinds of daughters who grow up in houses like mine. The ones who learn to shrink, and the ones who learn to wait. My name is Avery Everett, and if you'd asked my mother who I was at 17, she would have said, "Oh, Avery? She's easy. She's quiet. She's not like other girls." She thought that was a compliment. It wasn't. Before I pull you into the moment, everything shifted. Just if you're here because something in your gut has ever told you something's not right, go ahead and like this video and subscribe to her Untold Revenge. These stories matter. And drop your city and time in the comments. I always read them at night with tea, and it makes this feel less lonely, you know? Okay, let me take you back to the winter I turned 18. There's a particular kind of cold in Lancaster County in January. It doesn't scream, it seeps. Through window frames, through floorboards, through people. Our house had that kind of cold. My mom, Caroline Everett Hollis, liked to pretend we were warm. She burned cinnamon candles, played soft Christian radio in the mornings, baked banana bread on Sundays. From the outside, it looked fine, pretty even. She wore beige sweaters and pearl earrings and hosted Bible study in our living room twice a month. But warmth isn't Dacre. Warmth is how someone looks at you when you're hurting, and my mom never quite mastered that. My dad, Gregory Everett, died when I was 10. Car accident, foggy highway. I remember the knock on the door more than anything else. The officer's gloves, my mom's hand flying to her mouth, the way the house felt hollow 5 seconds later. Grief hit me like a wave. Grief hit my mother like a schedule. By spring, she was repainting the kitchen. By summer, she was dating. By the following year, she married Mark Hollis. Mark was loud, not just volume presence. He filled space with opinions. He filled the driveway with a lifted truck. He filled conversations with phrases like, "in the real world, even." When nobody asked, he had a daughter, Skylar. She was 14 when they married. Blonde, athletic, endlessly chatty. She cried loudly, laughed loudly, loved loudly. My mom adored that about her. I learned to become the opposite. You see, when my dad died, I cried at the dinner table one night. Just a little. Quiet tears, trying to swallow them. My mom put her fork down and said, "Avery, sweetheart, we can't live in sadness forever. It's not healthy." I nodded. I apologized. That was the night I realized tears were inconvenient, so I stopped showing them. By 16, I was what adults call mature. I did my homework without reminders. I didn't ask for rides. I didn't slam doors. I kept my feelings in neat little mental folders. I observed, and observing became my superpower. When my grandmother Margaret died, she left something behind. Not just the usual jewelry and recipes and crocheted blankets. She left a modest investment account that had grown quietly over decades. Blue chip, stocks, dividends reinvested, the kind of slow, steady wealth that doesn't flash but endures. In her will, she left it to me. Not to my mother. Not shared. To me, it wasn't millions, but it was substantial. Enough to pay for college outright. Enough to change the trajectory of a life if managed wisely. The terms were simple. I gained full access at 18. I remember the day the lawyer explained it. I was 16, sitting stiffly in a leather chair too big for me. My mom smiling tightly beside me. Mark leaning back, legs spread, asking about liquidity timelines. I didn't understand all of it then, but I understood the look that passed between my mother and Mark when the number was spoken. It was quick, sharp, hungry. After that meeting, things shifted in tiny ways. My mom started asking more questions about my plans. Did I really need to go away to college? Community college was sensible. Living at home saved money. Family decisions should be made together. Mark would joke at. Dinner, we've got a little investor in the house. Gonna take care of us when we're old, huh, kid? He laughed. I didn't. When I turned 17 and a half, a new pattern began. Papers appeared on the kitchen counter more often. Conversations stopped when I entered the room. My mom started using phrases like family stewardship and combined assets are stronger assets. One night, I came downstairs for water and heard my name. "She'll sign," Mark said. My mom replied softer, "She trusts me." I froze halfway down the stairs. That sentence lodged in my chest like a splinter. The next morning, I acted normal. That's the thing about being the quiet daughter. You don't explode, you collect. 2 weeks before my 18th birthday, my mom announced we were having a special breakfast the morning after. "Just us," she said brightly. "We'll celebrate your adulthood properly." Properly. The word made my skin prickle. The night before my birthday, I didn't sleep much. I wasn't scared. Exactly. I was alert, like right before a thunderstorm when the air feels charged. I had done something they didn't know about. 3 months earlier, after overhearing enough fragmented conversations to feel uneasy, I called the attorney who handled my grandmother's estate, David Caldwell. He had kind eyes and a voice that moved at half speed, like he refused to rush truth. I told him everything, the comments, the stopped conversations, the family stewardship language. He listened. Then he said, "Avery, do you feel pressured?" I paused. Yes. Silence. Not shocked silence. Thinking silence. He explained my options. I could keep the assets in their current structure, or I could transfer them, once I turned 18, into a separate trust with a neutral corporate trustee, one that required documentation for every distribution, one that couldn't be altered by parental persuasion. It would be untouchable, protected. I didn't answer immediately. I went home and watched my mom fold laundry. I watched Mark scroll on his phone. I watched Skylar chatter about prom dresses, and I asked myself one question. If I sign something I don't fully understand to keep peace, will peace actually come? The answer felt like ice water. Number. So the night I turned 18 at 12:07 a.m., from my bedroom desk with my laptop balanced on an old yearbook, I signed documents transferring my inheritance into a new irrevocable trust. The Margaret Legacy Trust. Irrevocable. That word tasted powerful. The next morning, I went downstairs. The kitchen smelled like pancakes and coffee. My mom wore her pink robe. Mark sat at the table, already dressed. Skylar scrolled her phone. And there it was, a manila folder, placed directly in front of my chair. "Happy birthday, honey," my mom said, hugging me just a little too tightly. I sat. We ate in silence for a few minutes. Syrup, small talk, forced cheer. Then my mom slid the folder toward me. "Now that you're 18, she began gently, "there's some paperwork to simplify everything. Just practical things, family things." I opened it. The title read, Family Asset Alignment Agreement. Oh, my name was printed in bold. Beneath it, language about joint management, shared oversight, consolidation of accounts under a newly formed entity, Hollis Everett Family Holdings. My stomach dropped. There it was, in ink. A section granting my mother durable power of attorney over financial decisions for efficiency. A clause allowing funds to be used for household advancement, including debt restructuring. Mark cleared his throat. "It's just smarter this way. Keeps everything in one place." I read slowly. Every page. My mom's smile thinned. "Avery," she said lightly, "you don't have to analyze it to death. It's standard for who?" I asked quietly. Mark leaned forward. "Don't get dramatic. Dramatic. That word again." I closed the folder. "I'm not signing this," I said calmly. Silence. Not loud. Not explosive. Heavy. My mom blinked. "Excuse me? I've already moved the assets into a separate trust. Last night." Mark laughed once. "Sharp. You what?" My voice didn't shake. "They're under corporate trusteeship now. I don't have direct access to distribute them, and neither does anyone else." The color drained from my mother's face. "You went behind our backs?" she whispered. I almost smiled at that. "Behind?" I echoed gently. "Mom, this document is dated 3 months ago." Mark pushed his chair back. It scraped loudly across tile. "You ungrateful little Mark," my mom snapped, but her voice lacked force. Skylar stared between us, wide-eyed. "Wait, what's happening?" I looked at her. "This wasn't your plan," I said softly. She swallowed. "No." My mom's composure cracked then. Tears welled, perfectly timed. "After everything I've done for you, Avery, I sacrificed. I know," I interrupted gently. "You sacrificed. But here's the thing. Sacrifice isn't something you invoice your child for later. I'm not cutting you off," I continued. "I'm protecting what Grandma intended for me. That's not betrayal. That's responsibility." Mark muttered something under his breath and stormed into the living room. My mom sat very still. "You don't trust me," she said. I took a breath. "I don't trust pressure," I replied. "That's different." I stood up, not dramatically, just done. I'm leaving for campus next month, I added. I hope we can figure out how to have a relationship that isn't built around money. She didn't answer. I walked upstairs, packed a small bag, and left for the weekend to stay with Aunt Beth. Driving away from that house felt strange. Not triumphant, not sad, light. Over the next few months, consequences unfolded. Quietly, Mark's business struggled. Debt they'd hoped to restructure remained theirs. Arguments grew louder. Eventually, he moved out. Skylar texted me one night. I didn't know they were going to ask for everything. I believed her. We get coffee now once in a while. She's softer these days, less loud. I think she's learning her own version of quiet. My mom and I, it's evolving. We talk, carefully, in smaller doses. She's never apologized outright. But once over lunch, she said, "You've always been stronger than I gave you credit for." That was the closest she's come. And honestly, it's enough. Because here's what I learned. Being the quiet daughter doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're watching. It means you're thinking. It means when the moment comes, you act with precision instead of chaos. If I had signed that paper to keep peace, I would have spent years untangling resentment. Instead, I chose clarity, and clarity costs less. So tell me at 12:07 a.m., would you have signed, waited, or protected yourself? Drop one word in the comments. I read every single one. And if this story felt like something you've lived through, if you've ever been called dramatic when you were actually just aware to subscribe to her untold revenge, share this with someone who needs to remember that quiet isn't compliance. Sometimes it's strategy. I'll see you in the next one.